Brought to you by GTA. We start with you.
Senate President Jude Hofschneider introduced the Senate legislative initiative that would amend Article 12. His goal is to allow those of Northern Marianas descent, also known as NMD, to fully exercise their real property rights and to reduce the NMD percentage of ownership interests in an NMD corporation.
If a private landowner sees the opportunity and be able to maximize the highest potential for that piece of property, then why are we still second guessing their ability to make that decision, right? And if you don't like it, by all means, don't sell it, walk away, lease it. But I wanted to hear the community, for the community to see how they feel about this. I know that there are absolute no, but I also want to hear if there's any suggestions to try and improve the policy in discussion, and we'll take it under consideration.
Article 12 of the CNMI's Constitution limits land ownership to those of Northern Marianas descent. According to Section 4 of Article 12, NMD is a citizen or national of the United States who has at least some degree of Northern Marianas Chamorro or Northern Marianas Carolinian blood or a combination thereof. A corporation can also own land if 100% of its shareholders and directors are of Northern Marianas descent. Leases of private lands to non-NMDs are limited to 55 years. Article 12 has evolved through the years. In 2014, an amendment changed the blood quantum threshold from a quarter to just some degree. Senator Hofschneider said he does not want to rush the initiative's process. 3/4 of the House and the Senate in the legislature would need to vote in favor of it before it lands on the ballot for voters to decide. Hofschneider said the question he's gotten the most about the proposal is why now?
And let me just be clear, it has nothing to do with any outside influence or anything, it's just me. If you notice that it was only me that the sponsor of this legislation. And I also feel like with this experience that we're having here in the CNMI, we've always relied on other than our residents here, but we've always relied economically to be self-sustaining in the tourism and everything else. And we all know what happened, right? So maybe it's time for us to reflect on some of the stuff some of the issues that I feel that it's important to revisit, whether or not this thing is going to go anywhere.
Not everyone sees it as clear-cut, though. Dr. Isa Arreola studies the process of militarization in the Marianas. She does not support the initiative in its current form.
I think the kind of spirit behind it, if it's really trying to promote a sense of equality, in the community, is well-meaning, and that's an incredibly important aspect of, land and land transmission in our community. But I think that it misses the mark in terms of the long-term effects of what this is actually going to mean for our community. I actually think it will end up alienating us from our own land in the long term.
Dr. Arreola cited the Constitution's intent to promote self-sufficiency and prevent exploitation. She's hoping to find common ground while balancing the economy with equality.
There will always be short-term economic gains, right? But once that land is gone and the money is spent from that land, we have nothing, right? We're left with nothing. And that's not a scare tactic. That is literally a reality, right? That land is not just property that is bartered and sold, right? It's much more than that. It's integral to our identity, and it's integral to most Indigenous communities' identity.
It's a first step that she said could have decades-long ramifications.
We are the ones that know best what we want for our future, right? Our community has to decide that. This is my opinion, but our community has to decide what we want. I mean, really realistically, what do we want 50, 100, 200 years from now? What do we want to see? And to open up the kind of Pandora's box of letting the land, be owned by so many other non-NMDs, to me just is ignoring the historical reality. It's just a total, ignoring of that history and ignoring why. Again, I keep going back to this, but it's like why that had to be put there to begin with, right? There is a reason why you have to protect the land from the get-go, why that would be included in the political, agreement with the United States.
Whether the initiative passes, Senator Hofschneider proposes an agency to guide private land transactions.
Maybe we should have been a little more attentive to even if it's private land, and at this time, even if it's private land lease for this matter, for that matter, maybe that we should have an agency to say, Jude, let me see your lease proposal or something. Make sure that everything checks out. No, like make sure that you don't go homeless.
Representative Sheila Babauta is keeping a close eye on the initiative.
Because it is language that has existed for over 40 years. And as with any document, review and updating is needed, especially given our current situation. There are a number of items and issues that this really opens the conversation up to.
One of those issues Babauta once addressed are long-term residents who have lived on island for their entire lives and are not considered NMD. It's a political matter that is also personal.
I'm half Quinnipian, so my mother is unable to own land here in the CNMI, but she calls this place her home. She's in support of Article 12, but those are conversations that we must have.
She's hoping to get as many of her constituents to voice their view on the issue.
There are issues of the top 5% of the wealthy families controlling most of the land on certain islands, in certain parts of very economically stimulating parts of the land. And so, I think this is a good opportunity for us to talk about it.
The first public hearing is set for this week on Rhoda. Tomas Manglona for KUAM News.